4.4 million Americans filing for unemployment claims last week, going into our fifth week of these sky-high numbers. Our senior economics reporter, Steve Liesman, has more on how we should be thinking about the unemployment, which just continues, Steve, to pile up at such an alarming rate.
Yeah, Sarah, you're right. I mean, these numbers are extraordinary no matter how you look at them. The 4.4 million would be, 6 times the worst week in the 08-09 crisis. But there is a glimmer of hope in that it is the third straight week down. Let me look at the claims by numbers here. 4.4 million, as Sarah said. That is down, I'll call it 800,000 from the prior week. Add up the 5 weeks since all this began, 26.5 million. And that's a percent of the U.S. labor force. That's 16%. Maybe that's kind of sort of a proxy for where the unemployment rate would be right now if all of these claims ended up being counted in the unemployment number. So that's the numbers. Let's talk about the human drama. What is in this claim here? What do you look for? Well, obviously it's a job loss, and that's a human tragedy. Also measuring the state's abilities to process claims. We'll show you some data on that in a second. It also, the good side on this is it's the number potentially receiving aid to get through this terrible period. Finally, the bigger this number is, the more work we need to do to get out of the hole that has been dug because of the isolation. Now, what we've been able to do here at CNBC is, on a very quick basis here, calculate some of the state numbers. What we've been doing is adding it up over the past 5 weeks and looking at, right now, the biggest states. And what you see is that California, by far leading with 3.4 million claims over the 5 weeks. And the rest of the big states, Pennsylvania, New York, Texas, in that 1.3, 1.4 range. Now, that only tells you so much. That tells you how many people file for claims. But what about how many people are in the workforce there? That's the next chart we can show you. And again, Pennsylvania, now you can see this as one situation is, hey, it's terrible in Pennsylvania. Another situation is perhaps they're doing a better job processing claims. But 23% of the workforce, call it 1 in 4 of workers there, has filed for unemployment claims. 1 out of 5 in Georgia, California, 17%, going down to Florida and Texas. Sarah, they've been able to do a decent job forecasting these claims through 2 ways. They're modeling Google searches for unemployment benefits, and they're also following 4 states that are reporting daily.
Steve, how do you think about whether the fiscal response and the also extraordinary amount of stimulus we're seeing happen in a relatively quick time, how much of it is filling this income hole? I mean, I think it's why we report, and you and others here have been reporting so much on the PPP program, the stimulus for small business, and the technical issues, because obviously this money is needed quickly to prevent business failures and mitigate these unemployment numbers. How much is it helping?
We just don't know, Sarah. What we heard, the only thing we can report is on an anecdotal basis, and a couple things. One is this money has been delayed. 2 is it hasn't gotten out to a lot of the businesses who need it. 3 is in some cases it's gone to the largest businesses, not the smallest. The largest who may or may not need it, the smallest who definitely do. The other problem is that in some cases, 60% of states, the unemployment benefit is higher than the average wage. So there is not necessarily an incentive for workers to come back to work, especially because there actually is no work for them in some cases. So we are trying to monitor that, and we don't know how much that PPP program is going to be able to suppress the unemployment rate.
Yeah, Steve, I do know some business owners who've received aid through PPP and whose workers still say they can indeed make more money filing for unemployment insurance. We'll see how that pans out.